I'm going to talk batting quite simply with two of the greats of Australian cricket. Ricky Ponting is alongside me, but we're going to focus in on Steve Waugh. Welcome along.
Thank you.
In case you needed reminding, 168 matches, nearly 11,000 runs at 51, 325 matches in ODI cricket, including, of course, captaining Australia to the World Cup. Captain in 57 tests, you won 41 of them, and you captained 106 ODIs, 67 of those were victories. How proud are you of those numbers?
Oh, look, they're pretty good. I mean, obviously a very good side. You've got talent on the side, so you can afford to play aggressive cricket. We didn't really play for wins, we played for draws. So, yeah, it's nice to look back on those numbers and know we won quite a few games. Yeah, it was good.
Individually, though, when you started, did you ever think you'd see those numbers up?
No, look, my first test match, I was happy to survive the first ball. When I got run, I thought that's a bonus. Played one test match. Anything after that was great. But, look, you're never really certain how many test matches you're going to play. And my first 20 or 30 were a bit of a struggle. So 168, that was a long way ahead.
Did he inspire you?
I think he inspired all of us, yeah. I mean, I played under Stephen for most of my career, to be honest, and I think I've said it a lot since I finished, and a lot of the time it was no coincidence to me that after him, there weren't many guys in the world that were averaging 50 in Test cricket. In fact, when you did it, you're probably about the only one at that stage. But what came after that in the Australian team were guys like me and Gilly and Mardo and guys like that at certain stages of their career had actually averaged over 50 as well. So the example that he set in the way that he trained, and more importantly, the way that he played and the price that he put on his wicket was the thing. Like, you ask a lot of people if you wanted someone to bat for your life. Most people around the world would have said Stephen Waugh at that stage. So that was what we were learning from the best player in the world at the time, and no coincidence we had a few guys do the same thing.
Give you cash later.
Was it always cricket, or was it
no,
possibly?
Look, oh yeah, good haircuts, weren't they? Yeah, cheap haircuts. Mum and Dad used to do the haircuts, but yeah, soccer was a big part of our lives, and tennis. Mum and Dad were really good tennis players, but yeah, I played semi-professional football for Sydney Croatia, and I was in the Australian schoolboy side, so I was a chance at one stage I might have been football, but I always loved cricket. That was my
Was it
my
the love of the
love.
game that took you to cricket?
Yeah, that was the choice I made. And like, what sport did I really enjoy? What did I want to? I really enjoyed the mateship playing cricket in Australia. So that was a pretty simple choice.
How competitive was it? In the backyard?
Yeah, bad haircuts all the way through. That's in the driveway of our house at Panania. We had three pitches. That's the garage. That's how I learned to play my cricket. We had the front pitch was a slope like Lord, so we became good leg side players. Then the garage, then the driveway, and then the backyard. So 4 boys, very competitive.
Didn't you whack a golf ball through someone while they were on the toilet?
Look, there was plenty of that stuff going on. There was always people getting injured, people crying and carrying on. And Mum and Dad had to come out and be the umpire. So that was young Danny. He was 10 years younger than us. So he had a pretty rough trot. He was mainly the bowler, so was Dean. Mark and myself were the batters, yeah.
Left-hander in the family as well.
Yeah, left-hander, yeah, he snuck in there. Yeah, no,
that was a picture
good
that
fun
would be
days.
recreated all over Australia, though, wouldn't it? Even when you were growing up as well, backyard cricket, out in the street.
That's where we learned the game, purely and simply. You'd round up all the friends from your neighbourhood, you'd find someone's backyard or a local park, and off you went for the day. You just play until the sun was up, till the sun went down.
That's holidays, parents, mates, just be home before dinner. That was the only instructions you got. So that's been lost a bit in Australia now, because the backyards aren't as big as they used to be, and that's how we learn our cricket. You know, we play it 24/7 outdoors, but these days there's not many of those backyards, so kids have lost the ability to play those fun games in the backyard. When
did you think, right, I'm going to become a professional cricketer and I can do it?
Not really until I was about 16 or 17, I guess, when I started playing first grade cricket. I thought, oh, maybe there's a pathway to a professional career. But back in those days, there wasn't a lot of money in the game, so it wasn't really seen as a career choice. But I just loved playing sport, and any excuse to play sport at school, to get off a day of school, join up any sporting team. But I guess cricket, probably 17, 18, then I got picked for the New South Wales side at 18, and pretty much picked for Australia at 19, 20. So that happened pretty quickly.
Australia at the Shield final as well, early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when I first came across people like Jeff Thompson and Alan Border and Kepler Vessels. They were tough nuts, and that was a big step up from playing great cricket. To come up against Alan Border, who was my hero, and everyone was a bit scared of him. And that first inning, I think I got 70 in the Shield final, and AB came up and shook my hand. I thought, it doesn't get any better than that. That was, you know, I'd sort of realised then that maybe I could mix it with these guys.
First call for Australia to say you're going to wear the baggy green came from who? Do you remember it? Where were you?
Oh, look, I panicked when I heard it. I can't remember who told me, but I sort of knew I wasn't quite ready. I only played probably 7 or 8 Shield games, and we'd lost 16 players to the Rebel Tour of South Africa, plus Lillian Marsh and Chappell had retired all at the same time. And, you know, I was very shy back in those days. I remember my first interview, I was just looking at the red dot and the camera just like now, and Eddie Maguire was doing his first interview, so I'm glad, hopefully it's been erased from the memory, but I was nervous in front of the cameras, and you know, I didn't know my teammates. I knew 2 players in the Australian side, Dave Gilbert and Greg Matthews, when I went to my first team meeting. So it was really, I was just trying to find my way. And first morning of that Test match against India, walked out the bat, and I was thinking to myself, just call him Jeff Marsh, don't call him Rodney Marsh. Get the name right. That's the way I was thinking. It was so nerve-wracking that first Test. So I wasn't ready looking back on it.
Were you ready when you started? Can you remember that feeling of going out?
Oh, he's nodding. He's nodding his head, but. You never really think you are until you've had, I think, sustained success at Test level. You always got those little doubts in the back of your mind. But thinking back now, maybe I felt that I was good. I played a couple of seasons of Shield cricket. I'd been on Test tours with the team as well. I wasn't just picked out of nowhere and straight into the Australian dressing room. I must admit, thinking back now, one thing that I always was a little bit confused about, Matty Hayden said after his first ever Test 100 that he felt that now I know that I'm good enough. He made about 30 Shield 100s before he made his first. Yeah. So it's how you equate the whole thing yourself in your own hand as well.
Yeah, it's in your mind, yeah.
When you actually came into the Test game, it's probably fair to say that you had to try and find a way in a game that was going to work for your Test level, wasn't it?
No, definitely. And the first couple of years were tough. I mean, the West Indies, you look at Jofra Archer now and everyone says, oh, how quick is he? There was 4 of those in the West Indies side when he played. I mean, I thought, I watched guys try and hook him and get out, and there was blokes getting hit, and I'm thinking, I've got to find a way to score runs against the West Indies. For me, that was just getting out of the road and just trying to make them bowl to me a bit more. So I wasn't playing a hook shot, I wasn't trying to fend it off, I was just trying to get underneath it. And that started to work, and once I get into a rhythm of scoring runs, I thought, well, this is a good system, I feel comfortable with it. And I put the hook shot away because as a young player, the hook shot was my favourite shot, and I was playing a million shots. But I also got frustrated in my first 10, 20 tests of playing to other people's expectations and playing a lot of shots and getting nice 20s and 30s and then going back in the pavilion and watching other people score runs. And I thought, I want more than that in my game. I think I'm a better player than that, and I became more disciplined. And Bob Simpson was a big part of that.
Steve Smith said, is that the same? One of the reasons his hunger's there is you can't watch the damn game.
Yeah, I think all batsmen will say the same thing. They'd rather be out in the middle scoring runs and watching someone else score runs.
I tried to find an example of you playing the hook shot, couldn't find it. I tried to do the same with you in a cut shot a few years ago. I was in the market, couldn't find any of that at all. But if you're not playing the hook shot, do you not feel that you're a little bit on the back foot in terms of being able to give something back to the bowler?
Yeah, I think so. But I knew the Test cricket's all about patience as well. You can wear bowlers down after a couple of hours, or they've tried that short ball, they've got to try something else. Eventually, they've got to come to where you want to play it. And again, Bob Simpson was a big help for me. I used to get tucked up a bit and cop a few in the hands and look awkward. He just basically said, get your elbow out and ride with the ball. And once I could get singles or play it around the corner, then that option was cut down for the bowlers because they get frustrated about me getting singles. So it's all about working out a method and sticking to your game plan, and I think that's what Steve Smith does really well. He knows his game plan, his method, and he doesn't hesitate and he doesn't waver from that. So for me, once I started scoring runs, I thought, yep, that works, let's stick with it.
Can we put some gloves on you and just stand in your
potentially
stance?
could, yes, first time.
He hasn't hit Matty for a while. I won't throw him too hard or get out the box.
I've stolen Steve Smith's gloves too, by the way.
Grab that and stick it on, because you talk about...
Does he know that? He's pretty superstitious with his gear.
Yeah, no, I've got to put it back. It's gloves number 24, so probably a few runs.
24 has he got? I mean, you see Steve Smith in this position.
Yeah.
Be fair to say that your game was more built around staying side on. Would that be fair, and why? What advantage was that for you?
Look, I wasn't a great... when I look back, I wasn't a great mover of the feet, but it was more about keeping my head really still and concentrating and making the bowlers come to me and watching the ball really closely. My 3 checkpoints were, head still, bend the knee and concentrate. And when I say concentrate, it was basically to minimise that concentration. So when the bowler's running in, I'm aware he's coming in from a long run, but I'm not really fully concentrating until he got into that delivery stride. And then I'd say now to myself. And it's split second, really concentrate and then tune out. So I had the ability to bat long, even though I probably wasn't the fittest player. I knew I could bat 6 hours and I'd still be mentally fresh.
One thing that I remember about Stephen was he was meticulous with his preparation. If it was a day out or 2 days out before a game and he hadn't been hitting them that well, he literally would stay in the nets all day until he actually got that feeling right and walked out feeling good about his game. So even when you're at training, the same thing. Were you telling yourself now at training as well when the bowlers
look, again, I go back to Bob Simpson. When I was early in my career, he's saying you're practicing to get out, you're practicing bad habits. And I think, what are you talking about? That was a pretty good session. I hit the ball really well. I might have got out a couple of times, but no big deal. And he said, no, that's what you're going to do in the game. You're going to look good, but then you're going to get out. So for me, every session after that was, I imagined myself in a test match situation. Whoever was bowling, I imagine where the fields were. And probably more importantly, when you do that, is not imagining that so much where the fields are, but where the gaps are. And then thinking about singles again, he drilled in us singles, get off strike, rotate strike. The best sides hit a lot of singles. So yeah, preparation was important, but if I was going well, by the same token, I wouldn't hit a lot of balls. I was happy with, say, 20 throwdowns, but if someone did throwdowns, I'd make sure I hit 20 right in the middle and walk away feeling good.
So with that, now you've been around the team for the last couple of months.
Yep.
Do you reckon that the boys are training that way now? Are they hitting too many balls? Are they hitting not enough balls? Are they going in with that mindset, thinking about the gaps, thinking about where or are they just hitting balls?
It's interesting. It's a bit of a new learning experience for myself. I haven't been around the side for a long time, so they do hit a lot of balls. And with the Wanger, which I'm not using, it's I don't want to get too good at that because you're in there for hours. But yeah, look, it's a different angle and different height. I'm not totally convinced, and I think it's got its place. But I still don't see anything wrong with actual throwdowns from a guy just throwing the ball. I think it's a more natural height, and I think for me, getting in the nets and getting out of the nets is all about feeling really good about yourself. And for me, if I finish a session off with someone throwing 20 half volleys, and every ball in the middle, I'd walk out going, I feel good about myself, I'm ready to go. So, you know, you got to trick yourself sometimes into believing that you're in good form.
Grab your bat. Could you stand in your stance?
It's actually not mine, but yeah, I'll grab it, mate. Yeah.
Go over there. Right.
In front of those stumps?
Yes, please.
Right, mate.
So, as a general rule, how is your setup? For a youngster, if he's looking to get it the basics sort of right, what sort of guard would you take?
I think firstly with batting, and it's something I learned as well, is it's important to have good body language. You know, when you're next in the bat, make sure you get out to the crease really quickly. I was always keen to get out, take my centre, have a look around with the field not set and the bowler not at his mark, because I felt like it was my turf. If I walked out really slowly and the field's set and the bowler's at the top of his mark, you feel straight away like they're on top of you and they're ready to go and you're a bit rushed. So get out there really quickly. Good body language was important to me. Take centre, have your routine where you stretch your arms, whatever it is, so you know you're feeling comfortable in yourself. And obviously take centre, nice and relaxed stance for me. My feet weren't too wide. A lot of players were really wide. Mine's pretty normal width apart. And my backlift, I guess, the key for me was to try and get the backlift coming down straight and nice and tight and compact. I didn't like too big of movements to start with. So I was trying to play in the V early on and really concentrate on my defence, let the balls go, get a feel for the pitch. I mean, I remember watching Alan Border and David Byrne earlier in my career, and they get a long hop in the first over, and you think, why don't they hit that for 4? But they were getting, I guess, a feel for the pace and the bounce of the pitch. And maybe something that's been a bit lost in batsmanship recently, that you know, to get a feel and just sense the conditions before you go into your big shots.
Trigger movements? Anything? Did you work on anything with your feet?
I didn't really, and I look back and I had to try and recreate that last ball 100 in Sydney with a virtual reality thing, and they said just recreate the same shot, and here's a video, watch it. And there was all these little movements, and I never even knew I did those movements, so it was all subconscious, but I tried not to move too much. But at the same time, you want a little bit of movement, and a bit like Steve Smith, he's a lot of things going on, but at the end of the day, when he hits the ball, his head's really still, and he's letting the ball come under his eyes, and it's really compact, almost in a square. So for me, it was about keeping it really tight and compact and sharp and not too big of movements.
And then focusing on the ball, because I interviewed Steve this morning and I asked him about that.
Yeah.
Same question as you. What did you watch? And he said, well, I don't.
Yeah, that's the
thing. So it's fascinating that you say you're bringing it down into one little moment, switch on, and he's like, well, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, no, look, he's unique. I mean, he's rewriting all the books on playing cricket. But yeah, when they say focus on the ball, it's really hard to focus on the ball. I think when you're concentrating, it just happens naturally. When you're not concentrating, that's when you're not really watching what's going on. So again, it's about that split moment of concentration and really focusing on what you're supposed to do. And then once the ball's over, then totally relax, chill out for 30 seconds, and then recreate the process again.
Right, I'm going to get you to hit a couple. Is that all right?
Okay.
You can leave them. You can set it up. It's a sort of on and around. Where do we put it up, punter? Just outside off stump one.
Yeah, back foot drives. We'll look after him with
his... It's on about 92.
This is potential
look after him with his favourite.
No, it's not.
All right.
Back foot punch.
Oh, jeez. Tell you what.
It was a bit straight.
Can I have a protector, please?
We've gone through a few of those in this test series.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the shot.
Like riding a bike.
Now, you wouldn't have thought about that because you've hit 2 shots in the last
I did. Like, that's just natural.
Your back foot, though, was absolutely square to point.
I think I got lucky there, yeah.
But is that what you wanted? Is that what you...
Oh, look, yeah, again, it's, you're not thinking too much about it, let your natural instincts take over, but getting a feel for the pace of the pitch. But, yeah, you sort of want to be backing across and waiting at the top of your feet, yeah.
Do you think that's changed because of 2020?
Look, I think a lot of the techniques have changed in 2020. Most players go out here straight away to free their arms. Yeah, so for me, it's...
Get another couple. Try and get it further up.
It's like riding a bike.
See if I can get you to drive one.
Front foot now.
Oh, bowlboarding.
Well, I threw him.
Hang on.
Nearly got me too. I'm out of the way.
Yeah,
check drive or break the wrist?
To tell you the truth, I don't really think too much about it. I mean, for me, again, it's just about trying to hit it under my eye level, not getting too far out in front of it and really controlling the drive. So for me, yeah, if you're feeling confident, I guess you're big flurries, but for me, it was more punching in the gap. Get my head still, knee forward and getting the weight through it.
Not bad considering it.
He hit him right in the middle, didn't he?
You know what you said about you used to want to control your area, get rid of all the rubble, all of this stuff. You would have swept out the way. Wouldn't
Anything
you?
that was in my eye line at all that I wasn't happy with, that's even anywhere in the crease. Like if I'd taken my guard and I'm batting on middle stump, if there was one little pebble or anything in any of those marks, they had like you'd quite often see me. I'd be kicking it out and getting it out.
Yeah.
If there was a bowler's foot mark down there that just didn't quite look right, I'd get down there and make sure I fixed that. Or the foot mark up that end as well. I quite often call my opponent, my partner out and say, "Go and fix that. Get that out of my eye line. I don't want to see that. This is mine for the day,
Yeah.
and I'm going to look after it as well as I can."
Yeah, I can understand that mentality, and that's why I'm saying get out to the crease early and really put a flag in the ground and say, this is my turf, I own this. I think that's what you're saying now. It's, own your area.
With those stats, did you max out what was you were capable of, what you could achieve?
Not in one-day cricket. One-day cricket, back in those days, we had a very structured system where, we're looking to be 50 runs after 15 overs, Jeff Marsh, David Byrne, Alan Border, Dean Jones. And I really came in probably on the 45th over light and didn't think too much about it and just slogged and didn't really give it too much thought. I mean, Michael Bevan was the first guy that really assessed how you're going to bat in the last 10 overs. So I don't think I fulfilled my potential as a batsman in one-day cricket, although I did well in World Cups. Test matches, I think you always like to think there was more runs out there. Perhaps in my first 30 test matches, I could have been better, but towards the end I knew my game well, and at the end of the day I feel lucky and privileged I played so many times for Australia, because it's one thing I've really appreciated being back in the side. You watch the guys walk out in the field and think, that is a massive honour. You'll represent 25 million people and they all want to wear that baggy green. So that 168, I feel lucky.
Steve, it's been a great pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Thanks,
brother.
mate. Thanks, mate.